I'm your host, Carolyn Solo, LCSW, EMDR therapist, and mom of 3 daughters. Thank you for joining me.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 110 of the Future Template Parent Podcast. Your host here, Dr. Carolyn Solo, PhD, LICSW, EMDR consultant, business coach, intensive therapist, mom of 3 daughters, and some other things, I'm sure. So today I want to talk about fear of rejection and how, that can be one of the things that holds us back from offering intensives, talking about intensives. We're like, everyone's going to say no, right? We hate to hear a no. Fear of rejection is so real, even for those of us therapists who are like, I've done my own work, I can handle this. It doesn't feel good to get a no, right? Especially when we're launching something new and big. A no can feel like are you kidding? Who do you think you are? This will never work. This is impossible. You're a fraud. You're an opportunist. You're a greedy mercenary. How dare you? With all of that negative money programming that a lot of us have. But, this is our stuff. It's not accurate, and I'll get into that. But I first think it's like, why does this come up, right? This is our own stuff, our own money mindset stuff, our own fears, our own anxieties. And remember projection? Remember from the defense mechanisms, projection, these are our fears of the truth, right? We're afraid that we're never going to be successful, that we're greedy, that we're a fraud, that we're an opportunist. Like, that's what we're afraid of, right? But we're externalizing them and projecting them onto potential clients because we're afraid of them, and these feelings are so yucky and uncomfortable. So getting them like outside of us feels better. Even if it discourages us, it feels better than, holding all that inside. And Freud is not my favorite, Freud, who talks about these defense mechanisms, but on projection, he does say it's one of the more primitive defense mechanisms, like therefore one of the less adaptive ones. So it's not accomplishing much except temporarily easing our own discomfort, but it's certainly not helping us progress in any way. And defense mechanisms are always protective, right? You could think of this as like a manager part or a protective ego state or whatever way you want to think about it, or defense mechanism, depending on your theoretical orientation or whatever, a part that's activated, right? It's trying to protect us. All parts, all defense mechanisms have a purpose, and that's important to recognize. And a lot of times in their form, the form that they are in, they are not serving us, right? And this is certainly not serving us. It's certainly not advancing our intensive practice in any way. It's keeping us from taking a brave step, jumping, and not necessarily knowing where we're going to land. And hey, you might actually get no's when you first present intensives to potential clients, whether it's, current clients or clients you get on a consult call. You're going to get no's, okay? And you're going to get yeses. But a no is not the end of the world. An intensive is not something everyone wants. It's not something everyone can afford, and that's okay. And that is so hard given our therapist conditioning, which tells us we must serve everyone. Our job is to be accessible, to help everyone. And guess what? That's only really comes at a cost to us. I don't know many therapists who have really navigated, a 40-hour client week, because that's what pays the bills when you're charging $30 a session or whatever. Who there aren't that many therapists who have been able to, like, that's $1,200 a week before taxes and everything. That's less than $5,000 a month if you're doing that every single week. That's on paper, maybe, I'm trying to think of the math here, 40 times, 1,200. My kids are screaming upstairs, so I'm having a hard time doing the math. $62,000 a year, $72,000 a year, no, $62,000 a year before any expenses are taken out. And if you're running your own business and doing that, wow, you are not taking home very much and you're running yourself into the ground, right? So a lot of us have that therapist conditioning. And so saying, I'm going to offer intensives and I'm going to charge a premium fee is such a massive departure from that. I have some people in my group right now who are working on moving away from an insurance-based practice, and that they're like, I can't even conceive of charging someone $100 an hour, not to mention $350 an hour. So it's a huge ideological mindset jump. Um, so all of that can get in the way for us when we're trying to start thinking about talking about this. And yeah, not everyone is going to say yes. You will get some no's. And you're not trying to serve everyone, nor can you, right? Like the situation I was just talking about, the 40 clients a week at $30 an hour, you're not serving everyone because you don't have the capacity. You're pushing yourself towards burnout, which means you won't serve everyone. And I do not believe that when you're seeing 8 clients a day, 5 days a week, that every single one of those clients is getting the best version of you. How could they? Right? So that's not serving them either. It's not serving them and it's not serving you. So yeah, all those things, you're not serving everyone, even though we're told we're supposed to serve everyone. But so you accept that. You're like, okay, I get that. I can't serve everyone. I'll get some no's. I want to do intensives. And to that I say, bravo, you should. We need more really qualified intensive therapists. People want intensives. There are people out there who want this service. And hey, the more insurance companies are trying to screw over therapists, and I heard another story about this week, like some insurance company, I saw a reel on Instagram, I can't remember which insurance company, is cutting therapist reimbursement rates by 50%. 50%. And they're trying to claw back some money from therapists who have been working for them. Like, that is ridiculous. Therapists are going to leave in droves because how is that sustainable? Not to mention, it treats us like disposable garbage, and that feels awful. Like, how are we supposed to feel good about our work if that's the response we're getting from the companies that are supposed to be paying us, right? Blah, blah, blah. Yuck. Insurance companies, yuck. But, right. So you're like, okay, I want to do this. But, and insurance isn't going to pay for it. So how do I get some of these yeses, right? You got to find the clients who will want to pay for an intensive and who can pay for an intensive. So you need to up-level your marketing. And this is why networking is so important. Networking with other professionals who have a similar client base, right? So in my group this past time we met, like last week, someone was talking about how whenever they talk to primary care doctors about intensives, and the first thing the doctor will say is, do you take insurance? And the therapist says no. They're like, well, my clients are not gonna, they need to use their insurance. Okay, that's fair. All that tells me is that's not the right people to be networking with. You want to be networking with other providers, like psychiatrists, for example, private practice psychiatrists, other private practice therapists, other EMDR therapists who have out-of-network clients. So you can't expect to get referrals from, and maybe you can get one or two, I don't know, but for the most part, you're not going to get referrals from providers who don't work with a population that doesn't use insurance for things. And yeah, again, maybe you'll get a couple, but like, that's not who you should be mostly speaking to. And like, if you do some networking and you get a no isn't a rejection of you, right? It's just saying, like, I don't think that this is something that I can pitch to my clients. Okay. And maybe that no at some point, they say no now, but maybe at some point they would mention it. Who knows? But as far as clients, right? If they say no, it's also not a rejection of you. Often a client will understand the value of an intensive and why it would be the best possible option, but they know it's not feasible for them. And that's hard, but it is the reality. Like I've talked about many times, and recently I have too, insurance is not going to cover an intensive. They just don't do that, like maybe best case scenario, you could have an insurance company that would cover 5 hourly sessions a week. And that's not every insurance company, certainly, but like they're not going to cover beyond that. So, and there's also insurance companies I've heard who are also refusing now to cover 90837 at all. They're only doing 90834. Like, screw these insurance companies, right? We can't let them dictate how we provide care. Right. So, a client wants to use their insurance, they just can't. And that in some ways makes the conversation easier. But right, so a client could understand the value of it, but like, I just can't do that. And that's just the reality. Also, I want to point out that when someone says no, it isn't always a forever no. Um, I I think it was a couple of years ago. In January, I had a consultation call with a potential intensive client. They didn't know they were going to be an intensive client, but when I got them on the phone, I said, "That's all I offer now. Here's what it would look like. Here's why I think it would be really beneficial for you." So this is the whole like pitch that I teach in my course for how to, get those yeses. And she was like, "Oh, I don't know. That's like a lot of money. I'm not sure. Like, I'm interested, but it's a lot of money." Okay. And I didn't hear from her for 6 months. 6 months later, she called me back and she was like, "I'm ready to do it." Amazing. That was not a forever no. It was a no for now. Um, and if I hadn't stayed firm in like, this is what I offer, this is what I do, I might have taken her on as an hourly client and then missed out on the opportunity to get an intensive client, which is what I was transitioning my practice to. Um, so don't let the fear of a no keep you from talking about intensives. Don't just keep talking about it. The more you talk about it, the more clients are going to understand it. And you're giving them the option to choose, to make their own decisions. Not telling them is not giving them the option. You're making the decision for them because of your own fears. And that's not, honestly, like respecting and honoring your client's capacity, or not capacity, but their situation. Like, you don't know what their situation is, financial or otherwise. You don't know what they can make work. So offer this option to them and then they can decide. And I promise it's not a rejection of you. They might just say, I can't do this right now, but that does sound really cool. Right. And remember, if you're trying for like a couple intensives a month, you don't need a million clients. You need 24 a year. And the more yeses you get, the more you're going to get more and more of those clients coming in, because word of mouth, and they'll refer other people to you, and the therapists who work with them after they work with you or concurrently will see the value of them, and it does accelerate over time. But all that to say, when you are having these conversations with clients, you want to be prepared for them and reduce the likelihood of no's, right? So this is a really, really important and powerful thing that I teach in the EMDR Intensive, 12-week intensive group program, which the next cohort starts the beginning of September. Only 8 spots. I would love for one of them to be yours. What are the resources the group provides? Well, I give you scripts for exactly how to talk to current clients about intensives, exactly how to talk about intensives to new clients who might not even know that they want EMDR in the first place, scripts to talk to referral sources, both ones you know and ones you don't know as well. Something else that's really valuable in the group is you see other group members having these conversations and them going well. And so group members give each other ideas about what's worked. I mean, I give you what works for me, and then group members try it and say, "Hey, I added this, or I took this out, and this is what happened." And they get success. Like, I have somebody in the group now who she doesn't even have a website yet. She just used the scripts I provide about intensives and pitched it to a current client, and she has a $6,000 intensive booked for August. So, and the program isn't even over yet. The program started the beginning of June. So, like, in less than 2 months, she booked a $6,000 intensive. So you can get the support from other group members and perspective and like ideas, and just this, like them saying, "I know you can do this, you've got this." Like, it's so beautiful to see. We have like a message board for all the group members to see how they all come to the aid of each other and support each other and like cheer each other on. I think it helps so much. They inspire each other. When someone sees that another group member is doing this and it's working, it helps them work harder. So you get that. The other thing that I think is really important that the group provides is I teach you the structure of the intensive, like how to structure this 3-day process so that you can feel really confident talking about what your intensive offering is. So you're not just like, well, I'm doing an intensive and that's like more hours of therapy. Like, this is exactly what this is going to look like. This is how it works. This is why this amount of time is effective, until you feel really confident. And the other thing that I offer is like support with coming up with the pricing that you feel confident presenting. And I tell people $6,000 for 15 hours is what I offer. And people say yes. And so a lot of the group members have taken that pricing and are going with it. And people are saying yes. Again, not every single person, but a lot of people are saying yes, and getting some yeses is so supportive and validating, and can, you know, like help you have that confidence to try again. And seeing that other people in the group are having success also, again, like provides so much confidence. And then having me be like, yes, this works, we can do this. Yeah. So I wanted to just put out there that I have a webinar, a free webinar, coming up on the 19th of August, Tuesday the 19th, which is all about, it's a free webinar, it's a 1-hour webinar, all about doubling your rate with EMDR Intensives. That's what the webinar is about. You can come to the webinar and learn that for free. And also in that webinar, I talk about how to craft that intensive pitch that is more likely to get you to a yes than to a no. So not only do I talk more generally about like intensive structure and pricing and stuff, in this webinar, I also talk about like, what do you say? Here's what you say. Here's how to say it with confidence. So I would love to see you at the webinar. The link is in the show notes for signing up for that. And I hope to see a lot of you there. So that's wrapping up episode 110. I am excited for next week's episode because I'm actually interviewing a current group member about their experience in the EMDR intensive, 12-week intensive. So be sure to tune in for that and get sort of an inside view on what the group can do for you in your practice. As always, thank you so much for listening to the podcast, and I look forward to talking to you soon, and I hope to see you at the free webinar on August 19th. Take care, everyone.